Well, hello, children. Thank you for watching another edition of ARFCOM News. Did you enjoy the gel test last week? I know it's been a while since we posted one. We'll do more soon. If you're new to the channel, check out this gel test playlist. Over the years, we've tested a lot of different kinds of ammo here. And if you are new to guns entirely or just need a little extra context, you might enjoy the series of Gun 101 videos we'll be publishing over the next couple weeks as well. Guns are a lot of fun, and you don't need to be an engineer to enjoy them, but a little understanding of the technical aspects can help remove some of the mystery and make the subject more enjoyable overall. In the meantime, we are all glad to have you, regardless of your politics, and we can't wait to go shooting with you once we get finished with this 2020 coronavirus side quest. In the meantime, observe the 4 rules of firearm safety, watch lots of training videos on the tubes of you, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Let's get this party started with some good news. Idaho passed that constitutional carry bill we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. Remember the little girl with the loaded rifle in a committee hearing? Basically, the way Idaho law was before, only residents could carry concealed without a permit. HB 516 acknowledges the right of all people to carry weapons. Anyone who is not otherwise prohibited from possessing a handgun will be allowed to carry concealed without a permit in Idaho. Great work, guys. Keep it up. Another bit of good news is that the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, part of DHS, has declared the gun industry is essential critical infrastructure in a memo issued on March 28th by the Trump administration. The Memorandum on Identification of Essential Critical Infrastructure Workers During COVID-19 Response lists workers supporting the operation of firearm or ammunition product manufacturers, retailers, importers, distributors, and shooting ranges under the section on law enforcement, public safety, and other first responders. So that's pretty cool. But by listing it under the public safety section, the clear implication is that they believe arms and ammunition are critical for the Praetorian Guard, but not for the likes of you. But the memo has predictably got the Karens all spun up, so that's cool too, right? Anything that upsets the moms in your area looking for action is probably a good thing, and I'll take 2. One for my truck. The Los Angeles County Sheriff can't make up his mind whether gun stores should remain closed, though. He has vacillated between ordering deputies to enforce business closures and allowing gun stores to remain open. But on March 30th, Sheriff Alex Villanueva issued a statement on Twitter advising that he would not recommend closure of businesses relating to guns, citing the DHS memo. Maybe that's a case. Maybe it was the memo that changed his mind. Or maybe it was the lawsuit filed by the NRA, SAF, FPC, and California Gun Rights Foundation. Now, cynics might claim that the NRA only gets involved when the industry is threatened, but I'd like to point out that even if that's true, they're still involved. I've commented before that I really don't care that most politicians aren't interested in personal liberty, so long as they're scared into voting the way I want. Speaking of the NRA, they've begun cutting salaries and laying off workers, citing lost revenue as a result of the Wu flu. You know that they canceled the annual meeting in Nashville, of course, and I'm sure that cost them quite a bit of money, but it's not as though the NRA was in great financial position before all this started. The organization has been plagued with scandals and accusations of corruptions already, which likely stagnated revenue collection. Election years are historically quite productive for them, but that might not be enough this time around. They didn't specify how many workers would be laid off, but they did announce that all salaries would be cut by 20%. Every salary except Wayne LaPierre's, that is. Wait, put down the pitchforks for a second. He's actually supposed to be taking a larger than 20% cut from his $2.2 million annual pay, although we don't know exactly how much. Not really my place, but I can't help but thinking that $2.2 million could allow a lot of people to keep their jobs. But even notoriously anti-liberty New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy has taken the DHS recommendation to heart. The governor's office issued a statement on Monday reversing the previous policy that gun stores must close as non-essential. To help keep track of these closures, the National Shooting Sports Foundation has published a list, which we'll link in the description, where you can determine whether gun shops in your state have been listed as essential, specifically mandated to close, or have no explicit closures. Because police departments are having to cut back and are responding to fewer calls, and because people don't seem to be going out criming as much as they were in the before times, some folks on Reddit have been speculating that The quarantine will likely result in fewer crimes being reported, and that Karens and other anti-rights groups will use that as an argument to push more gun control. That's certainly plausible, but I think it'd be a really foolish move, especially considering the hypothetical drop in reported crime will take place concurrent with an enormous increase in sales. So we buy more guns, police less, and still have reduced gun violence? All the while, defensive gun uses are still happening, like the incident in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the 28th, where a good guy with a gun stopped an active shooter at a shopping center. We don't have a lot of details, but a concealed carry permit holder told police that he shot a woman who had been shooting at other people. In the face of toilet paper shortage, some doctors are turning to the United States Constitution to meet their sanitary needs, with particular focus on First and Second Amendments. A new study published by the Journal of Medical Internet Research analyzes YouTube and Twitter channels for gun manufacturers and influencers. They discover water is wet and that businesses use social media to advertise. If there was ever an appropriate time for OK Boomer, it's right now. Of course, gun manufacturers and every other business in current year uses social media to reach customers. They also claim to have discovered that 80% of YouTube influencers are linking to gun sales in the video descriptions. The paper doesn't give any example of the posts or links in question, so I contacted the study author for clarification. To her credit, Lisa Jordan replied quickly with a link to the data set, which we'll include in the description. I didn't have time to check all 120 videos, but I did check several of the videos they claimed to have links to gun sales, and there were no links to firearm sales at all. Many influencers do link to their own web store where you can buy mugs, shirts, morale patches, and some of them have pictures of guns on them. Honestly, I have no idea how they came up with the idea that these videos link to gun sales.
Which doesn't even make any sense!
Now, obviously, you know that you can't actually buy a gun on the internet so much as you can pay for a gun on a website, and then the transfer still takes place through a dealer. Moreover, if 80% of GunTuber posts included a link to gun sales, they would all have been banned a long time ago. Linking to gun sales in a YouTube description is a major terms of use violation and would probably result in a channel strike at the very least. It's a stupid rule, but YouTube can kick us right off the platform for breaking it, and they've taken down entire channels for less. So for the claim in the article to be true, every one of those channels would be in imminent risk of shutdown. There are a few other issues we should unpack though. The study claims that guns are a public health issue. But as we discussed in a previous episode about doctors straying out of their lane into subjects that have heck all to do with medicine, I don't think it makes any more sense to claim that axes or 5-gallon buckets are public health problems. The authors aren't remotely concerned about health and are instead pressing for unconstitutional restrictions on speech. They unabashedly advocate for both social media companies and government to restrict what people are allowed to say about guns. It is entirely possible that the journal is interested in publishing such obviously politically motivated trash. And that's their right, because free speech again. But on the off chance that they were unaware of the blatant and intentional misrepresentation and are not inclined to allow their journal to be hijacked for political propaganda, why not drop the editorial staff a line at ed-support@jmir.org or call them at 416-583-2040. In spite of the efforts of authoritarians to limit speech, they can't put the genie back into the bottle, and they can't stop the signal, Mal. Life finds a way. You can't stop people from talking about guns, and you can't stop us from sharing CAD files like the FGC-9 just released by Deterrence Dispensed. The FGC-9 is a 3D printed 9mm PDW style weapon that has been designed to be easy to build at home. Home building guns isn't anything new, of course. For about 20 bucks, an idiot, even this one, can build a shotgun at home. It's so simple that you could manage it just by glancing at an image of the concept. Of course, if I were to show you that image, YouTube would ban us. And with only a little more skill, one could build submachine guns using hardware store parts and common hand tools. YouTube's WrongThink division prevents me from giving anything more specific, but it's all a Google search away. The point is that it's been fairly easy to make guns at home for decades. There are endless examples of home-built submachine guns from countries with authoritarian regimes such as Australia, because it's actually easier to home build a submachine gun than a semi-auto carbine. The part that was always the most difficult was the barrel. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's easy enough to source a steel pipe strong enough to hold up to 9mm, but cutting the rifling was tricky. Or it was, until project member Ivan the Troll pioneered an electrochemical process to do it. The FGC-9 isn't so much revolutionary as it is evolutionary. It combines the progress made on a lot of different fronts all into one package. This is the first time that plans exist for a gun that would be really effective in a fight and that a low-skill person can assemble at home without purchasing any specifically gun-related parts. Yes, it takes Glock mags, but that's only because 3D printed Glock mags are a thing now. If you're wondering why all this even matters, it's probably best summed up in the name of the project itself. FCG stands for gun control. See, no matter what laws tyrants pass, once information like this exists on the internets, it'll always be out there. And that means the people can always arm themselves. And if that's the case, why even bother trying to ban guns? In case you're wondering, it is perfectly legal under US federal law to manufacture non-NFA firearms for personal use, so long as you're not a prohibited possessor and you aren't doing it with the intent to sell. Now, maybe not a terrible idea to whip up a few and bury them as red flag insurance, if you know what I mean. But if you're more inclined to let someone else make your guns for you, I don't blame you. SIG has announced their popular Tread series will now be available supersized in 7.62mm. The 8.5-pound 716i will have a 16-inch nitride-coated barrel, free-float M-LOK handguard, 2-stage match trigger, collapsible stock, and it'll accept Magpul pattern magazines. MSRP is $1,400. If you follow this channel, you know that I will do absolutely degrading things for best millimeter. I know my passion isn't always rational, but that's how love is. So of course, I'm excited to see a new 10mm pistol. Devil Dog Arms is building a 5-inch 1911 chambered in 10mm. It has all the normal fuzzy dice and curb feelers we're accustomed to seeing on modern incarnations of this century-old design, such as front slide serrations, checkered grip, and mainspring housing, and extended safety. It will also be available with optional threaded barrel and/or accessory rail. MSRP is $1,200. Palmetto State Armory has been straight slaying it recently by giving the people what they want. They had several blockbuster announcements at SHOT that really stole the show, and now they have announced they're going to start producing AK magazines in the style of AK-103 and Bulgarian Circle 10. They'll have steel reinforced feed lifts, front tab, and locking lug. PSA hopes to have them ready in the second quarter of this year, and the expected price is going to be around $20. I can't wait to see what PSA comes up with next. Are you hoping it's a phased plasma rifle in the 40-watt range? Because I am. Well, partners, that brings us to the end of this dusty trail. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you like guns, and if you think we earned it, consider doing all of those things that YouTubers ask for at the end of videos. Liking, subscribing, and commenting informs the YouTube algorithm, helping this video get more views, and telling Skynet to show you more videos with guns in them. If you like seeing stuff better than not seeing stuff, consider that without the products offered at tnvc.com, you can only see stuff about half the time. So buy stuff to see stuff if you don't hate capitalism. Or if you just want to make authoritarian control freaks cry, check out some of the rad shirts in our Teespring store. Guaranteed to make you like fleek or something. Whatever you kids are saying nowadays. I love you.